Um, First of all, I never thought I would sit in this seat because many, many years ago when I came to see you for the first time, I said, oh, I would never do that, ever. So this is very exciting for me. I have a question about why this takes so long. In 50 years, I've been looking for this information. And after 6 seminars and 10 CDs and 4 books and I don't know, I've got so much Abraham stuff in my house that people wonder, what kind of a weirdo are you when they come over?
What kind of a weirdo are you?
I'm just as weird as you are. And all these other people are. And I'm just wondering why it takes so long.
Well, you make a really good point because it's weird to feel good, because it's weird to care about how you feel, because it's weird to recognize that there's a broader part of you, because it's weird to seek your alignment first, because it's weird to be selfish, because it's weird to care how you feel more than anything else, because it's weird. In other words, there are so many false premises that don't serve you, and the premises that do serve you are considered weird. It's weird to recognize that you're source energy. It's weird to realize that you came with a purpose. It's weird to see the value in contrast. It's weird to recognize that you're emanating rockets of desires. It's weird to realize that you have a vibrational escrow. It's weird to even think about law of attraction. It's weird to think that you create your own reality. In other words, so many people around your planet would call all of us weird while they are banging around in misery and false premises. You say. And stuck in your vibration is that. In other words, there's still this feeling that reality is more substantial, and therefore I should face reality and face the facts and tell it like it is and keep telling my same story. Even as you sit here, you're telling your same story a little bit, you see. You just got to get weird enough that you let go of trying to control circumstances. Look what goes on around your world. So many people are really excited about the idea of going to another part of the world that has nothing to do with you and looking at their way of life and calling it inappropriate, and then taking control of what they are doing in order to get them to think like you, as if that could ever happen. Here you are willingly trying to change your beliefs. And your government thinks that it can go to another nation and another culture and get them to change beliefs when their heritage has them lined up in some... Everybody wants to call what other people are doing weird, and what we're wanting you to understand is until you finally decide that everything that is happening out there in the peanut gallery is really none of your business, and that your business is just closing this gap between who you're being right now as you're thinking and who you've become, until you get into that mindset where the way you feel means everything, and you tune into who you really are, and you begin to see the world through the eyes of Source, then it all begins to make sense. You see, the child that our friend is talking about, how weird is that? How weird is that? That little bugger can't even walk, has no teeth or hair, and is happy? What is the matter with that child? He gets up and falls down and gets up and falls down and gets up and falls down. Can't you learn you're not going to get it? You just might as well just crawl around on the floor forever. Get up, you little dummy. In other words, you understand with your children. They come in, they're weird, and you know why they're weird? Because they have not yet been conditioned by the bogus habits of thought that bind you. So don't be hard on yourself. It takes a little while to shed the layers of that onion that you've picked up a little bit at a time. In other words, the first time someone looked at you and found you inappropriate in some way, and maybe punished you or frowned at you or condemned you, you didn't actually hear them. You just sort of ignored it and went right on with what you were doing. It took quite a bit of someone disapproving of you before their disapproval has caused a modification of your behavior. So what happens is so many people have modified their behavior and their feeling of self-awareness and self-value based upon the eyes of others, where all along the only thing that mattered was the relationship between you and who you really are. You said so much just in the short conversation that you offered here, as you realize that sometimes it feels a little slow going, and we say, no wonder. You're immersed in an environment that almost insists that if you don't think about it this way, that then you're weird. And we say, you gotta be weird and proud.
Absolutely.
What you want to say is, I'm weird, but I'm happy. In other words, I'm tuned in. And if I'm weird, then that means I was weird before I came. If you find me weird in my willingness to find positive aspects in everything, if you find me weird in my unwillingness to face reality as it is, and in my appetite to see things as they can be, if you find that weird, then I think you would find Source weird. I think you would find that which you call God weird. Humans have gotten out of sync with the true nature of their being, so much so that they call the true nature weird. You see someone confident, what do you say? Does it make your heart sing when you see someone confident? If it does, it means you're tuned in. But if it doesn't, if it makes you call them arrogant or cocky, if someone else's display of alignment feels off to you, it's your alignment that's off. When someone is joyful and it doesn't bring you to a feeling of joy, it means you're so far from that which is joyful that you can't get that whiff of bliss, you see. And so the whole point of this art of allowing conversation is to help you to tune yourself to who you really are, to let that be the singular guidance that you're using. And when you consistently lean in the direction of what feels better and better, so that you on all topics tune yourself into vibrational alignment with who you really are, then you can stand. It's an interesting thing. When you stand in the vibration of Source, which just means you feel great, you're frisky, tuned in, tapped in, turned on, clear-minded, vital and alive, feeling wonderful, clear-minded, optimistic, knowing the well-being that surrounds. When you are in that vibration where you are seeing the world through the eyes of Source, and someone doesn't understand it and calls you weird, it just bounces off of you. You just understand that they don't understand. You don't take it hard. You don't try to modify your behavior. You don't try to be weird so you'll fit in, you say. In your environment today, there are a lot of people who by fitting in, get sick. By fitting in, aren't happy. By fitting in, feel depressed. By fitting in, complain about where they are. By fitting in, don't like their relationship and don't like the next one or the next one either. By fitting in, and there's a whole lot of things going on that is accepted as normal life that we got to tell you are just weird. You should feel good, and when you don't, something's screwy. You should feel sure, and when you don't, something's screwy. You should know your value, and when you don't, something's screwy. You should love the people that you focus upon, no matter who they are, and when you don't, something's screwy. You should accept the diversity of your planet, and when something bothers you or makes you afraid, or you feel like you've got to stifle that because you don't want it to get something screwy. In other words, when you stand in your place of knowing, you applaud all experience, because you know that in the balance and in the diversity, new ideas are born. And you just constantly, as a source energy being that you are, turn your undivided attention toward the expansion. Sometimes people say, Abraham, that scares me. You sound like you mean that you could look at something horrible and not only allow it or tolerate it, but even encourage it. And we say, we don't mean look at unwanted things and encourage it. We mean look at unwanted things and out of it let be born what you prefer. Give your undivided attention to that and encourage that, you see. There is a sifting and recycling process in this creation of non-physical, physical, non-physical, physical, non-physical, physical that is so sublime. In other words, imagine coming forth and knowing that the desire that is born out of every point of consciousness, which means even one-celled organisms, ants, dogs, cats, humans, the cells in your body, any point of consciousness, when it is exposed to life experience and asks for an improvement, Source says, you should know, because from where you stand, you are doing the leading edge asking. And Source lines up with that expanded point of view. That's what the expansion and evolution of all species is about, you see. Nature and the laws of the universe are natural and will carry you toward your joyful eternalness. If we were standing in your physical shoes, we would leave everyone else out of the equation, and we would give only our attention to our gap. We would be tending to it constantly, and we would be thriving. And there would be one opinion and one opinion only that we would ever seek to understand and to adhere to. And that would be the opinion of Source, which is the total becoming of all that has been. We would be tuning ourselves to that, tuning ourselves to that. Jesus said, turn the other cheek. Tune yourself to the clarity and purity and expansiveness of that which you are. And in doing it, and then returning to that one signal that you were before you were born, offering no resistance in the signal. That one signal makes you influential and an uplifter to the very core of your being.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. When you see someone unhappy, or when you see someone struggling with a situation, just say to yourself, oh, they're step one-ing. Because that's important. In other words, it's important that step one happens, because without step one, there can't be step two. Without step 1 and 2, there can't be step 3. In other words, it's all part of the process. Just don't get hung up there, and don't let their being in step 1, by your attention to it, drag you into a vibration that pulls you apart from who you are. That's really what we're saying. Someone said, well, Abraham, if I don't focus on my son's problems, won't he think I have forsaken him? And we said, your son won't feel forsaken if you see his problem, which makes you ask for a solution, and then you give your undivided attention to the solution. But when you look back at your son still in the problem, when his problem caused you to put him in your vibrational escrow, and now you put the new and improved, better feeling version of him in your vibrational escrow, if you don't line up with it, then you tear yourself apart. So when you look back at someone as they now be, instead of as they have inspired you to see them, then you use them as the excuse to tear yourself apart from who you are, and you're extra mad at them. A lot of the negative, every negative emotion that you feel is because you're separating yourself to some degree from who you are. And you use all kinds of excuses as the reason for it, but still, it's the same thing, always the same thing. I'm pulling myself apart from who I am and using, so you could say to this person, maybe it's your lover, maybe it's somebody you've worked with, maybe it's a business partner, maybe it's one of your children, or maybe it's your parent. So here they are, the rascal. They've just given you a run for your money. It's been really hard going, and out of it, you've launched rocket after rocket after rocket of desire. You've just about filled your vibrational escrow up single-handedly with this one relationship. You have expanded so. But they're so vivid, they're so real, they're so tactile, they're so in your face, they're so present, they're so reality, they're so hearable and seeable and smellable, they're so in your experience that you can hardly get your eyes off of them. So what you really want to shout at them is, you rascal, you made me become more. And now, because of my inability to focus myself, I'm looking at you, and you're keeping me from being what you caused me to become, and I'm extra mad at you about that. If you would suddenly do the impossible and begin to act like that, then all I'd have to do is observe you, and I'd feel a lot better. You owe it to me. You owe it to me to thrive. You owe it to me to be all that I need you to be, because I have no willpower and I can only observe what is. So my happiness is completely dependent upon what you do, and you're failing at my happiness. true bondage in that, isn't there? Where what you want to say is, you caused me to want this. And that feels good when I think about it. Looking back doesn't feel so good, so I don't think I'm going to look back because my criteria for where I look is how I feel. And if you think I'm forsaking you because I'm not empathizing with where you are, you're mistaken. Because I'm looking at who you really are and finding vibrational alignment with that. Further, when I look at who you really are, I line up with who I really am. So now you've got all of me looking at who you really are. That's influence, you see.